One of the most shocking things about today's sneaker is that it actually might be better than the original. Have the box. A little interesting flip for us to take a look at. So the black speckling is now on the lid instead of on the bottom, and the bottom is black, so they've literally reimagined it. Let's just call it that. They also got some Nike branding on the corners instead of the Jumpman, but on the top here you got the regular Jumpman logo with the flight tag. Let's pull these open and let me show you guys today's sneaker. This is the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined. Here we have them, guys, and to say I am excited to take a look at these is an understatement. These things are looking extra mean. Another little note I'll mention about the presentation. We got another little reimagining over here with the hang tag. This is typically orange on most retros. Now it comes in all over black, which I'm definitely a fan of. Look at that, just to go with the all over leather upper. Whew. So I just want to say straight out the gate, these are big, and I mean big as in these are going to be a tough purchase. It's going to be a sneaker release that has a lot of people upset, and honestly I think it's going to be a pair that people double and triple up on. So with that being said, let's quickly run through all of the release details so you have them and you're fully prepared. So these are going to be dropping February the 17th for £190 here in the UK, or $210 if you're out in the US. Now before that scheduled release date, there should be some exclusive accesses or shock drops on the Nike Sneakers app, and this is definitely something you want to keep your eyes open for, because especially through the Nike Sneakers app, they do tend to put out a decent amount of stock through exclusive access before the actual release. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because I'll make sure that you know every single time there's any kind of update on these. So the rumor in terms of stock is that there's 500,000 pairs, so 500,000, which is a decent amount. For some perspective, most Jordan 4s are kind of like 200 to 300,000 on the high end, and obviously with the demand being so high for these, I definitely wouldn't look at 500,000 pairs and be like, this is going to be an easy purchase, because I think the exact same thing happened with the Jordan 1 Lost and Found, and we know how that went. I mean, I personally did not get a pair for retail. I tried on every single raffle, every single exclusive access and shock drop, and nothing. Probably best to just assume it's going to be a hard pickup and then do your best, and then just pray. That's about it. That's all I can give you. Okay, so the last time we had a release of the Jordan 4 Bred was back in 2019, and by all accounts that was a solid retro. It had the Nike Air branding on the back. It was relatively true to the original. But what's pretty crazy is that this is actually now the 5th time that they've done a retro of the Jordan 4 Bred. They originally released, of course, back in 1989, and now we have them back in 2024 as part of the Reimagined series, which is definitely a little bit controversial. It's basically Jordan Brand reimagining original colorways, and sometimes they do a great job, like the Lost and Founds, or sometimes they do a somewhat more of a controversial and polarizing job like the Royals. But the biggest twist with these things is not just the material change. That's not the only thing they reimagined about this pair of shoes, but they reimagined an original colorway to be more like one of the most recent colorways, and of course I'm talking about the Jordan 4 Nike SB. These have a lot in common with the Jordan 4 Nike SB collaboration, which we will get into in a little bit. So I know whenever there's a change on an original pair of Jordans, people like to critique it quite a lot, and I think when people first saw the images for this pair of shoes, there was a lot of people that were a little bit apprehensive to say that they liked them, and some people just completely disliked them straight out the gate. But I think this is one of the greatest examples of how people have changed their mind after seeing them more and more, because now as we're getting close to the release, I've heard a lot more people say that they actually kind of prefer these. Now I think no matter what change you're making, the original will always be the original. So there's something about it that's always like, yeah, it's better because it's the original. So there's kind of more to it than just material changes. But I've got to say, there's a lot of pros to this pair of shoes. Let's get into some of these changes. So obviously the elephant in the room, these things are now covered in what feels like a very, very nice leather as opposed to nubuck, which is on the originals. It feels thick, it feels soft, and it honestly feels something that I have not felt from Jordan Brand in a very long time. Now the colors and everything on this pair of shoes obviously stay true to the Bred force. So you've got the gray, white, and red midsole with the black painted areas. You've got the plastic gray lace eyelets both on the bottom and the top over here. You got the black plastic wings extender, and around the back you've got a solid black pull tab with the Nike Air branding in gray. You got a red Jumpman on the tongue patch, and of course the flight text just underneath that. Nice gray sock liner, and the reverse of the tongue is also red. So yeah, all of the colors exactly the same as the regular Bred 4s that you know and you love. The next big change up is when you realize that they didn't just take an original Bred 4 and then put leather on it. It's that they actually made these things pretty similar to a pair of Nike SB4. So let's get into some of those similarities. So the first thing I noticed was immediately pulling these things out of the box and feeling this tongue. So they've kind of added a much more padded and fatter tongue. That's something that we found on the SB4s, and it also feels like the ankle area is significantly more padded as well, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy with, and that adds to the comfort, and it's going to feel a lot more similar to the SB4s, which are regarded as the most comfortable Jordan 4s ever made. Now I was half expecting these plastic elements to be as soft as we found on the SB4s, however they're not. But twist is that they're kind of in the middle between a regular pair of Jordan 4s and SB4s. So they're slightly softer, which is kind of nice, but they didn't just go as far as the SB4s did. General shape is now updated to look more like the SB4s as well, so you will tell a difference there. And I think it just really showcases how well the SB4s did for them to now reimagine a pair of Breds in their image, I guess. I guess there's gonna be some people who don't like them being more like the SB4s, and I assume that's just because of change, but honestly, I think they took a lot of the best elements from the SB4, like the added comfort of having a fatter tongue and a more padded ankle area, and just generally speaking, I like the shape. I'm honestly in the camp of I like these changes that they've made to make them more like the SB4s, but I would love to know what you think down in the comment section. Are you happy with this, or would you prefer them to keep it more original? Now let's talk about sizing, and that's something that didn't really change, so I would just stick with your regular Jordan 4 size, and if you're not entirely sure what that is, I typically go true to size, and that fits me just fine. I think a lot of you are going to be very happy if you do manage to get this pair of shoes. I think you're going to be happy with the presentation. They kept it pretty solid. I think you're going to be happy with the materials and the way that these things just look on foot. I do like the leather. Do I think it's better or worse? I don't think that is necessarily the most important thing. I mean, there's a lot of practical benefits, but in terms of the look, I don't know, maybe. There's something about the leather which kind of, you know, it has that shiny aspect to it, which in some certain outfits, I would prefer just having the super dark nubuck that's on the original Bred. However, I don't have original Bred, so you're damn right I prefer these things because it's the only one that I can get my hands on. And I'm certainly not going to be paying the resale price to pick up a pair of 2019 Bred, so yes, I'm completely happy with these. Very, very happy to add these things to the collection, and I think you guys are going to be too. So yeah, I don't know, is this going to be a double up for you? Do you already have a pair of Breds from 2019, or are you someone who's going to be picking up a pair of Bred 4s for the very first time? It's one of the most iconic and just cool colorways to exist on the Jordan 4s, and I think, you know, it's a great pair of shoes, not only in the fact that it's an original colorway, but it's going to be super easy to throw fits together with these things. And I think that now that there's leather, there's even more different types of styling opportunities with these things. It's a great daily pair of shoes. They are slightly more durable as well with that leather, so I mean, I'm ready to throw these things on right now. I don't have to wait till summertime or anything. These are ready to go. I want to know what you think of these things down in the comment section. Do you prefer them to the nubuck pair? Do you hate the fact that there's leather on there? Are you happy with the SB4 changes that they made to it? And are you going to be grabbing these things when they do drop February the 17th? Whatever you're thinking, drop it down there.